I want to talk about the dehumanization of humanity. The dehumanization of humanity. And I got to admit, I'm only going to scratch the surface today, and perhaps at a later date, I'll dig more into detail on this subject. One of the dirtiest tricks ever played on America by Americans is the dehumanization of humanity, especially as it relates to slavery and as it relates to how black people have been treated in America. Dehumanization is where we systematically or systemically denounce and deny the human qualities in others, either because of their race, because of their gender, because of their nationality, or because of their skin color, or maybe because or just because they happen to be someone that we consider the opposition or the enemy. And then we even go further than that. We often go beyond dehumanization and venture into the area of demonizing people with whom we disagree, or people that we don't like, or those of which we don't think very much of. Oh, you hear what I'm saying this morning, my friend? I mean, sometimes because of the situation, sometimes because of repeated abuse and conditioning, we surrender to the negative ideas imposed, or shall I say, inflicted upon us, which leads us to fall in line. Line up with what they are saying. And then we begin talking as though we are not human. We begin acting as though we are not human. We begin by treating ourselves and others as though we are not human, especially those who look like us. And as a result of being treated inhumanely, as a result of being conditioned over the years and mistreated for so long and by so many, we can easily become the monster that we feared. Amen. We can easily become the one that we hate, so to speak. Now, this is my take, so don't hate. No hating allowed. Good Thursday morning, and it's not just another Thursday morning. We appreciate you being here for my take on this beautiful Thursday morning. A little bit chilly, but it's going to get warmer throughout the day. And let me say happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And I pray and trust that you will have a great day. All right, so let's kind of get in. And again, I'm not going to go into great detail on this topic today, but I believe that, and I'm sensing, I'm feeling that I'm coming back to this topic of the dehumanization of humanity, because I think it's something that we really need to look very closely at. But I realize, today you're getting your little turkey ready, got your ham going on and all of that. So we're not going to keep you very long today. But we believe that we do have something that will help us. We do have something that will benefit us. And I thank God for the ability, and I thank God for the opportunity to speak on a variety of subjects. I'm grateful to God for affording me that privilege and that opportunity. It allows me to speak not only to the soul of humanity as a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ, but it also affords me the opportunity to speak to the various issues of life that we face day in and day out. And I realize that some people are critical of us sometimes as we talk about different subjects. But I cherish these opportunities to learn and to help people as the Lord leads me. And my prayer is that you will take advantage, my friend, that you will take advantage of every learning moment, and let not a second, not 1 second of your life be lost or wasted. Take advantage of all that God provides for you. Amen. Amen. Everybody likes, everybody likes to have a good time. But sometimes the situation demands that we forego casual conversation. Sometimes the situation demands that we forego social calls and get to the business at hand and enlighten one another with helpful truths on living, that we might inform one another of relevant issues that impact our lives, and that gives us the opportunity to alert one another to the dangers that threaten all of us. So my take is designed to do that. As much as I like to laugh, and my name means laughter, Isaac, my name means laughter, I often have to remind people, and sometimes I have to be reminded myself, that everything is not a joke. Not everything is funny. And we can't party all the time. Please, my friend, don't be lured to sleep by entertainment and by pleasure and the nonsense of this world and this society. Don't let it happen to you. All right? Now, as I look at my mission that God has entrusted to my hands, I embrace this mission. I really do. I love what the Lord has called me to do. I embrace this mission without fear or hesitation, without any fear. And listen, when I speak, I don't speak to be popular. When I speak to be heard. And not me, but the word that God gives me to speak. And if we hear, that enhances our chances of being helped. Are you here when I'm saying, come on in and let's talk about that for a while. You know, unfortunately, there has been far too many, but for two recent high-profile cases, we have come to at least a temporary resolution. And only time will tell if each of the verdicts will hold up. And you know those that I'm speaking of. But in each case, we find that there are some who are celebrating the results, and others are saddened and angered and hurt due to the results. And that's always the case. That's always the way it is. You know, preachers will sometimes say to their congregation or to those to whom they are preaching, so y'all don't know when to say amen. Y'all don't know when to shout. You know, and when I think, which I believe that implies that we are quiet when we should be saying something or doing something. And when we should be silent and still, you know, sometimes we can be talking too much or moving about unnecessarily. So as I look at this situation, and I have watched a bit, and I've listened a bit, and I must admit not a whole lot, but I watched the people celebrate. I watched those that were hurt, and those that were angry, and those that were happy, and those that were glad, and I'm not trying to judge anybody, not trying to read anybody's mind, because I don't know why people do what they do. Okay, but I just want to caution us, though, and alert us to the fact that some things ought not be celebrated, at least not in the way in which we sometimes celebrate them. All right? We don't always, the truth of the matter, we don't always know when to shout. We don't always know when to say amen. We don't always know when to celebrate. And we don't always know what to celebrate. And dehumanization has done this to us to a large degree. It's been dehumanization that is responsible for this. It has caused even the people of God to become cold and callous and insensitive to the needs, the hurts, and to the pain of others. I mean, have we forgotten that there are always two sides to every story? Have we forgotten that? I mean, when we look at these situations and other situations like them, someone has died a tragic death. Someone has to live with the reality that they have taken the life of another human being. And for the families of both on either side, their lives are changed forever. Their attitudes are changed. Their view of life has changed. Their view of people, specifically, and it could be sometimes specific people, has changed. Their view of them, their attitude towards them has changed forever. Now tell me again, who won? And exactly what are we celebrating? A long time tactic, almost since dirt, that is intended to make it easier to kill another human being is to dehumanize that human being and to demonize them and to make it appear that they need to be killed and make us feel as though we are doing a good deed when we kill them or when we mistreat them. I've served in the military and during our indoctrination before going into war. And during that time, to prepare us to hate and to kill without hesitation, without reservation, and to justify our treatment of others, the enemy is always dehumanized and the enemy is always demonized. And part of that process is It's giving them derogatory names and pointing out their differences as though it makes a difference when it really doesn't. We look at who they are, how they are, their appearance and all of that. And so we give them certain names in some kind of way that makes us feel better about what we're doing. So we call the Japanese Japs. We call the Chinese Chinks. We call the Vietnamese Gooks. We call the Caucasians Crackers. And we call the Negroes nigger. That's the way we do. And then when we devalue people, when we dehumanize them and demonize them, it seems to make it easier. We claim their skin color or their culture makes them either superior or inferior, depending on which side you're on. We don't want to accept this idea. And I realize that we don't really want to accept this, but television and video games are an effective tool in desensitizing us to humanity. You know, when people are playing the video games, they watch the blood splatter, they watch the people die. Then the game says that someone won and someone lost. The only problem is, in real life, we cannot reset or restart the game and give those who have died a renewed life. Let me tell you something, my friend. I tremble when I see young people sit, and even adults. I mean, adults are just as bad. I mean, you got some addicts, these video game addicts, these violent games. And we're not realizing that they, in a large sense, they are desensitizing us. They are making it easier for us. And oftentimes people are able to go out and kill other people because they give no value to life. And they've learned this, they have been conditioned over time through what they have been exposed to, whether it's video games or whether it's real life, whatever it may be. And even in the military, and some of you may have seen some clips of this in the military, and I have experienced it up close and personal, but military personnel are trained on game-like equipment, simulators sometimes, game-like equipment. They're trained to drop bombs and to fire missiles where they can watch it on a screen, and then in real life, when they are indeed dropping bombs, when they are indeed firing missiles, when it hits the target, the explosion looks like the 4th of July. The celebration begins, and yes, we celebrate death and destruction. We celebrate death and destruction. Never mind the fact that the torn and tattered lives that are left behind. It's time to celebrate. It's time to hand out medals and commendations, because after we have killed people, then we are celebrated, we are commended. And probably the biggest lie told on black people or people, anybody, is that we are not human. We are less than human, that we are demons. And that justifies us, that killing and enslaving us. That justifies mistreating us and discriminating against us. That justifies, makes it easier. And included in that process of dehumanizing and demonizing people is devaluing them and denying them the rights and the privileges and the opportunities that are afforded to others. Let me tell you something, my friend. Any killing is horrible. Any killing is hurtful to the families and the friends of the victims. And those responsible should be brought to justice. But is that a good reason to celebrate? It's an unfortunate situation for all people who are involved, for everybody. And I'm not sure that I can celebrate because someone is going to prison, because they're going to be separated from their family, their friends. I'm not sure that I can celebrate that someone else is going to be killed or executed because others have lost their life. And I realize for many of us that that's not what we're celebrating. I get it. I get it. I understand. That's not what we're celebrating. For many of us, we're celebrating because we feel as though justice has finally been done. Justice is finally done. And somebody's going to pay for their transgression. Somebody's going to pay for their wrong. Yet I understand that. But let me tell you something, my friend. I've been there, done that, and got the medal and the commendations. I've killed, I've injured, and I've celebrated the killing and the deaths of others. I've celebrated destruction. I've celebrated that before. I've celebrated the dying of those that we call enemies. But I thank God for the change that has come over me. As a child of God and as a fellow human being, I value people and I value life, no matter who they are and no matter where they are. I value life and I value people. And I pray to God that I will never feel that I have to take another person's life again. And I certainly pray that no one will ever feel a need to take mine. I honestly trust that that never happens. Now tell me one more time, who won? And what did we win? And what and why are we celebrating? You know, as I look back and as I look around, we were eager to see justice done in these cases, in many cases like it. But are we just as eager to see justice done in the hundreds and thousands of black-on black acts of violence and murders in our communities? Are we eager to see justice done there? And if we are, what are we really doing to help the situation? Please, my friend, let us not sink to the level of others. Let us not go that low. Let us not develop a thirst for blood and find ourselves calling for the blood of others. Now that's my take. What do you have to say? Come on, sound off. Well, great Thursday to you. Have a wonderful and a happy Thanksgiving. And I trust that our short talk today has been helpful to you. I hope it has maybe opened your eyes. I hope and pray that perhaps something has touched your heart, that you will value people, that you will value life, and that you will be merciful as our God is merciful. Once again, happy Thanksgiving.